messaging me for?
I just want to make sure this ain't coming through live now. All right, guys, welcome back to the Anything Goes podcast, episode number 21. I'm joined by a good friend of mine, returning guest of the show, a very popular guest, Mr. Doc Doogie. How you doing, sir?
Hey, good night, guys. Thanks for having me here, Mr. Bartlett. Always a pleasure.
You know, it's always good to have you on, sir. And we're also joined by a new guest of the show, a very good friend of mine. He was supposed to make his debut a while ago, but you know things got in the way. But 50, do you want to introduce yourself to the people?
Yo, everybody. Known by most friends as 50. We'll leave it as that. Keep it a mystery.
Yeah. We won't place it in employment for what you're saying tonight. Even though I don't think it's bad, but he's working a very strange place. You know what I mean? So
in the event it goes in the direction of speaking and something ain't working.
Even though I don't
keep
think
it.
it's bad. All right.
Well played.
Well played indeed. And you know, before we start the show, we gotta do our usual shout outs. Check out the BL&P Conversations podcast, hosted by another good friend of mine, Mr. Teague Davis. We recorded on Sundays, uploaded on Saturdays. Check it out on all your favorite streaming and podcast platforms. And also remember to check out my good friend Zacchariah. He streams Tuesday, Thursdays, and Friday. Tuesday and Thursday are usually multiplayer games, and Friday is a single player game. The current single player game is Dishonored. So remember to go and check out Mr. Zacchariah. Give him a big shout out. He's a very active streamer, a young upcoming streamer. So remember to check out the streams. And also his social medias are also available on the screen. All Zacchariah from what I can see, so check him out. You know, guys, about a month ago, you know, we were hit by a hurricane called Elsa. I also hit Elsa for that stupid movie called Frozen. And she didn't disappoint me again. And she did something that had me really upset. She had my electricity off for 5 days. And I know for people in Barbados, the duration was longer. For some people, it was much shorter. And what really bothered me wasn't that the power went out. It was more the duration of the outages that occurred within Barbados. And I know in some built-up areas, people were able to get electricity the day afterwards. But for a lot of us, like myself, we were out for almost a week, 5 days. I was lucky enough that my uncle was able to loan me a generator. So the meat and stuff in the freezer wouldn't have spoiled. But for some people, they had to wait over 2 weeks. A friend of mine, a young lady, shout out to Matty, she does garments and stuff like that. I don't have the social media right now, but I'll probably link it in the description below. She said she was out for, I hope she don't blast for saying this, but she was out for over 2 weeks. And this is a young woman who's an entrepreneur who makes clothing for people in this country and is well known. So imagine that. She can't even run her business. So I think something has to be done within this country. I don't think within a country of 166 square miles that people should have electricity for 2 weeks. And I know that wasn't the case for everyone, but as I said, I was out for 5 days. I know the Doogie was out for a while. So
I was out for 6.
For 6, longer than me, and I was surprised because I know how you go down in St. John, and usually get treated very bad because of the situation. You get treated like, yo, I was cussing, getting on by St. John people, and I saw how I won the lottery this time. I don't think there will be many more victories for me, but hey, and I'm not too sure about you, 50. How long were you? But you're close to the airport, so I don't think you're out for too long. Am I correct?
Well, for home, if I remember correctly, the hurricane hit like the early Saturday morning, I believe it was. So I think for me at home, I think power came back on the Saturday late, like early, like Saturday going into Sunday. From what I was told, as when the power came on. But as you guys know, I was mostly at work during the time of the hurricane.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I say work. And we didn't get back power till Sunday night. And then my boss, he lives on the board of St. John and St. Philip. He didn't get back power probably maybe a week after, I think it was.
Yeah. And that's what I'm surprised. So there's some places, as they say, St. John, we always get, we are usually very, very pessimistic because of these things, but there are certain places in St. Philip, in Christchurch, that were out for over a week. So I want to talk to you guys. You guys have always suggested to me from years ago a solution that you all had. And I'll start with Mr. Dr. Duguay. What was the solution you had for these events occurring? What was the idea you had? Do you want to present it to me?
In terms of energy resourcing, I've always been. Forgive me for the loud noises. I've always been advocate for having underwater turbines in terms of cost, efficiency of power, cutting back on fossil fuels that we have to import all the time because Barbados doesn't have its own refineries. We have a habit of pumping our own oil here, selling it to Trinidad, and then buying it back, which to me really is not very effective cost wise for our economy. So I've always been looking at alternatives in renewable energy, and solar, yes, is a good move, but it is not very reliable. Even though
Especially
we
on
are in a
especially on
country
a
that
mass
is
scale.
relatively sunny.
Yeah. Especially on a large scale. Individually, you could argue
Correct,
for it, but on a
because
large scale.
they are able to only produce low level amounts of energy as well. So it takes up a lot more panels, and the panels take up a lot of space. We actually allocated certain spaces in Barbados for panels alone, and seeing that we are a very landlocked country, it is detrimental to utilize land in such a fashion that you're not even able to put houses on it. You're not able to grow food on it or anything else. So that I found as being detrimental to the country. We have people talk about putting in wind turbines. Wind turbines, yes, it's a nice thing because we do have access to the Atlantic Ocean. Um, but it would only be feasible if we're putting the turbines in the sea. Again, we Barbadians have been looking at putting the turbines on land. Again, which is not very feasible for a landlocked country. But we've all seen and heard in recent times, which is what I am very passionate about, is underwater or water-based energy. Seeing that we are an island, I've been looking into tidal energy. I prefer that over the thermal because Barbados doesn't have any areas that we can do dams or have running water like that because we do not have active rivers in Barbados unless we have flooding, where the gullies are then sent with torrents of water, but there's nothing consistent for Barbados. Um, Looking at underwater tidal turbines, they're still very new in the world, but they are extremely effective. The issues that I will have is that we're a small nation. We have to borrow a lot of money nowadays. We are currently in a lot of debt. But in the long run, having turbines that do not have to be shut down during hurricanes because they're already underwater, the tide is not going to change. You may get some bigger waves on the surface, but the tide is not going to affect the turbines underwater. Because we have such access to the Atlantic Ocean on the eastern side of the island, it would be easier to put the underwater turbines out there where people are not really swimming or anything because it's dangerous due to the same tides and currents in that area, which would be important for the turbines to operate. So it would not be blocking any ports. It should not necessarily be damaging an ecosystem too much, depending on how far we put them off the island. And it can also help us by putting desalination plants on that side of the island that the turbines can help pass some water through, as seen in some turbines that are being used in Australia. Recently, there were some turbines being operated in Ireland that I believed in the most recent study that I've seen would be more suitable for Barbados. And if Barbados was to make agreements with them in terms of the cost, as using Barbados as a testing ground to see how it would operate in smaller coastal territories, how beneficial it may be.
I think Mahoney
Thank you.
knock you. I think Mahoney knock you out. Yeah. Doc, do get it there?
I'm still here.
All right, all right. Now, guys, as you can see, Matthew is very passionate about his wind turbines, his underwater turbines, and I think that's the way we should be looking into. I think we should be more energy dependent as a nation. I think we've been too reliant on fossil fuels. And you know me, I'm not the biggest like we're gonna end with climate change and all kind of thing talk, but I've always been a guy, trying new things, and if something more efficient, I'll give it a shot. Um, but Mr. 50, you've also been a very strong proponent, not just of that type of energy, but the way the energy is delivered to the homes. You've been a very big proponent of on the ground electrical wiring to the house. I don't know if that's the correct terminology. Do you mind to speak
So,
on that and inform the people of Barbados what your idea is of how, instead of
my
having to deal with pools being knocked down with hurricanes, how things should move forward?
it's not even with hurricanes, but my idea was is a simple thing. Like we see it, I mainly saw it when I went to these states where you don't see you don't see telephone poles, you don't see electrical poles. Everything is literally underground. Now the reason behind this is simple. The pole fall, you gotta get a crew to come out, drill a hole, put the pole, then you gotta get the men to come and put the lines up. If somebody hit over a pole, same problem again. You have issues where trucks go through areas and the truck is too tall, and what happens? You pull down somebody's phone line. If you bury, I would say, if you build trenches, concrete bottom, concrete walls, and a fairly heavy metal plate that could stand up to vehicles going over it, you save yourself the trouble of we gotta block up a road or we gotta dig up wall, we gotta dig up roads. You benefit from making it easier on yourself. A man that might not like heights, and he's not gonna go up on a pole. He might go down in a trench. Yes, he might say, might put somebody out of work, but they could retrain. You could add more. You could take those guys and add them to more teams. Make your life simple. And as we've always said, our major issue with one of our providers, who is Water Authority, is when they come and they do work, they don't patch back the road properly. My concept is the same concept with the burying the electrical lines. Make a trench, cover it. You gotta do a repair, lift off the covers, and do your work. Simple, but I don't know why is it so hard.
And if you guys can see on screen, this is an image of it leaving from the plant in Nashville, going underground. Obviously, this is a bigger thing. It's actually for the probably, I don't know, entire state, but a large area. But I think when it comes down to individual districts, obviously you need a few cables. And you bring up
Yeah.
something that I've always been arguing, especially with Water Authority, is you dig out a road to fix a pipe, then you leave, then you got to hope for the NTW to fix it. I've always said, why not just have one crew there? But with your idea, there's no actual need for a crew to come there. You just fix the pipe within your system. Um,
hmm
Now, one thing you gotta look at is cost. And now, none of us are economists. None of us are have these fancy degrees and stuff. It's gonna cost a lot of money. But
Well,
I want to go around the table. Um, do you think is a worthy change for us to adopt this model? And would it be something that is very viable in the long term? As Matthew said, no, this whole leaving fossil fuels behind. Uh, would the government's more prefer you to have your own like solar panel in the background to power your own home? I mean, you're still gonna need water links anyhow. But do you think it will worth the investment in allowing for Barbados? I'll start with you, Mr. Dugan.
I believe it would be. Yes, it's going to be expensive, but something that was brought to my attention the other day while talking to a retired water authority worker. A lot of the issues that the northern part of the island are experiencing stem from the fact that a lot of the pipes for the northern end of the island are in cane fields.
Mhm.
A lot of people have been saying when they get their water from water authority, it's brown, it's brackish, it's disgusting, and they don't understand why. Why does the water have to be like that when you mean we're in a country where our water is filtered through caves? Um, but what was brought to my attention actually is that the fact that the same water from Water Authority is actually the pipes are running under cane fields, and a lot of these pipes are over 100 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So you have aged pipes that they cannot find anymore. Ironically, they can't find them. You have pipes that are damaged and broken that needed to be changed. The government was supposed to be implementing a change a while ago to bring new pipes about, and we have
To
issues
be
where the
fair,
pipes are
to
just
be
sitting
fair,
on rotting.
to be fair, up at me, there are no finally doing the infrastructure because, as you know, there's a few behind me, and as you said, they do run along the key field. However, this one is actually in the track of the key field, not just in the middle of the field anyhow. And they have stretched out the pipes. And you said those pipes were very old. So
Correct. I think at this point,
I'm glad they're doing
it,
infrastructure changes, but I just said it's been well overdue.
I believe they need to, as 50 was saying, you need to start with the change of the infrastructure. If you want to lay the pipes in a trench, go along the roadways at this point in time. Even if you can't find those original pipes anymore, shut off where you know it ran up to and rerun the pipes. If it's so difficult because some of the pipes are underneath people's houses now. People built their
What?
houses, a lot of the landscape has changed. And I think at this point we should no longer be reliant on the old pipes. Some of these pipes are, like I said, over 100 years old, 200 years old. And you have where the water authority shuts off the pressure of a pipe. They do a patch repair where it damaged, and when they reopen the pipe on the same old pipe, just about 2 or 3 feet down, the pipe bursts again because it can't handle the pressure anymore.
Yeah, man, if you remember that scenario happened with me, they did make a YouTube video about that showing how the water was bursting all the time. It was only
Correct.
fixed when they actually brought new pipes.
So I don't know. It doesn't make sense continuing to be reliant on pipes that are no longer the best at this point at all. Is causing more harm than good. So yes, it will be an expensive endeavor. Some people said that my grandchildren will be probably be having to pay for the underwater, or sorry, the trenched wires and waterworks. But at the end of the day, we have roads that are being kept damaged, potholes exposed because Ministry of Transport Work says, well, Water Authority said they need to run something out here. So instead of them fixing the road and then Water Authority digging it back up, they're just leaving people's vehicles to continue to get damaged over and over and over again, which is garbage as far as I'm concerned. In the long run, we're still expensing ourselves extremely high, and our vehicles are taking the brunt of the force. We got to be changing shocks all the time. We got to be watching where we drive. We got to mark potholes. It's so difficult nowadays, especially if the rain barely falls and a new pothole is formed. You don't know about it, and then you hear brat. And you wanna? Did I break my axle this time? Did my car fall? Did my car snap in half? Is the government gonna pay me for this? Now I have to go and bus it to work, and the buses are going in the same potholes and getting stuck. So the infrastructure is necessary, as far as I'm concerned. It will be expensive, but it will be worth the money.
All right. And to you, Mr. 50, do you think it'd be worth it in the long run?
How I see it, I believe it could be worth it because you save yourself one, the trouble of if something happens on a pole, you gotta send out somebody. That's one. Two, if the pole itself need to be changed, because I can remember a few years back on the news itself, someone actually had told the news that they had contacted an pole about a pole, and when they showed you the pole is almost rotten all the way through. And it's like, you mean to tell me that nobody has come to dealt with that yet? So it's like you save yourself the issue of dealing with the poles. You make it easier to actually access certain areas of your grid because all we all know that how they wired up this island of ours is so strange. Where because me and Doc live in the same parish, I get back power before he did. It's like we just maybe 30 minutes away from each other. How it is that you don't got power and I got power? How is it that a person in St. Philip got power and the same person, a different person that lives in St. Philip can't get power? What it is, we don't know. But it's worth it because you can maintain it. It's not. It won't be difficult to do, and it could bring you so much ease. Like you could say, well, you no longer need to get pullmen, but how about we retrain you, go and actually
I mean,
work on this
they gotta work
system.
on the ground, so
You could actually probably increase the size of your teams to do when this emergency works to do the works. I mean, some people will say, "Oh, it can be expensive," but yes, anything that you want to change is going to be expensive. But you gotta look at it in the future basis. You will eliminate problems, and then it pays off for itself. Like we have also like when Doc said about we were looking at wind power. The issue is, as you said, we're landlocked. If you take up land, then you can. Somebody might want to build a house. Will say, "Well, I would like to build a house in this area, but I didn't want to build anywhere near wind turbines because not only that, there's a level of noise that you're going to get.
yeah, and it's not like a great sounding V12 Walmart. It's just kind of very
I'm
high.
quite sure it can be like some groaning and droning, and
Yeah,
nobody ain't gonna want to hear
it's not a
that.
very nice song, no, is it?
It's like there's so many things that I mean I can't list it off the top of my head,
And plus,
but
you also got to
you
do with
could
birch
eliminate
bricks and whatever as well. Like
right. You could that's
and and they're very tall and very unsightly. Like
yeah. No, but nobody ain't gonna want to be near it. You can't. I could guarantee that
Noise
even if
too.
you did it, if you did it, you can go say, well, look, nobody can live within this range within the area of it because there can be a level of noise. And if you were told, well, you can't be within 2 miles of this place, you can't build within 2 miles of this place, has a good section of land like gone to waste. And then with burying of the utilities, as I said, I'm quite sure we've all seen where on the road you see the water running and you think, oh, somebody probably washing something. Then when you get to where the water actually is, there's a burst in the road and it slowly trickling up. Because if you have it in trenches, you don't gotta get a crew to come and dig. We've all seen the scenario where there's probably one man in a hole with a jackhammer, maybe one man shoveling out the dirt, and like two or three other people there just stand up doing nothing. And it's like, it's, you know, y'all exactly know what it is because I can hear
It,
Doc
it
laughing.
it makes me laugh because it's like you got one worker and seven supervisors.
Exactly.
That's
It's like
exactly what it looks like.
it's like so the rest of y'all just standing here doing nothing. I've seen it happen. Like I was like, but when I gonna switch for this man, or when I gonna actually like help
no,
move the dirt?
I got one get lunch and come back.
I remember there was a time they had a burst pipe in front of my father's home, and there were 8 guys there on the site, and one was using jackhammer. And every time he finished drilling a point, he would drill a second hole into my dad's driveway with a jackhammer. When I confronted him about it, I said, "Why do you keep drilling my father's driveway?" His response is that the jackhammer is heavy, so it's easier for him to drill it into another spot. And I asked him, "But there are 8 of you, and you're the only one drilling, so can't one of your partners help lift it back up?" Instead of putting holes in my father's driveway, which you guys are not going to repave. They're telling me that I am obstructing them from doing their job. I need to leave them alone to do their job, and they shoot me off.
But then when you pop,
Continuing to put holes in my father's driveway.
mm,
One worker and 7 supervisors, as far as I'm concerned.
Pretty much. It just seemed like a wasted effort. As you said, MTW, like as King said actually, where MTW is supposed to do work, then Water Turds also want to do work. But for some reason the two of them can't come to a what they say, not an agreement, but plan to say, well look, authority will come and say, we want to do work in XYZ area. And MTW could say, well, all right, we just do work there, but let me know when. We will come either the day of that you're doing it so we can see what we can need and need to fix, or we will come the day after. Or you can say, well, MTW, where you doing work? We doing work here. All right, well, look, we gotta do work there. So you want like push back, or you want to collaborate and let me come and do we work first? It's like, is it that no one in these positions see that you're kind of slowing down, or not slowing down, but you're all right. Let me see it. I can't find the right word, but you're basically gonna like after coming behind MTW, you're undoing what they did. And then it's like MTW coming before Water Authority, and it's like, but you just wasted effort in fixing the road, or Water Authority then come and have to still do work. It
Mm-hmm.
just is like talk to one another because you're both. One is a government entity and one is sort of privately owned, I guess. It's like come together, talk, and say, look, we got a mains replace. Like what there's like, oh, we have a mains replacement project going on. At no point did some at MTW say, look, we talk to Water Authority, find out when they're doing this, where they're going to start, so that when they're finished, we fix the road that may have needed to be fixed in the beginning. Say, well, look, seamless transition between Water Authority, Bad Road get fixed within a couple weeks. It's such a simple planning, but I don't know if nobody thinks to like look at it that way. It's just frustrating to see it happen.
And it's a constant thing over and over and over and over again. It seems like there's no end in sight. But I feel the problem is because two separate departments. It comes across as well. It's not my problem.
Correct.
Yeah, and I think we have a level of
Like most government entities,
yeah
they don't work together. They work against each other all the time.
all the time. I don't know if you could put them under one bracket and if that would fix the problem. I don't know what your solution is. But I feel there's a level of incompetence in Barbados, and I think it just keeps going on over and over and over. And luckily, we're seeing a lot more younger people calling out and saying that things need to be changed. So hopefully, this could lead to us actually seeing this change in the future. Um, I want to talk about the wind turbines, on the ground turbines a minute. Especially, this is something that Dr. Duque had a big. He's been very passionate about this. On the screen, I have four separate like designs up. He sent me this image. Though, do you mind to break it down to people what these types of turbines are and how they can help Barbados be less energy dependent?
Um, the PS2 open hydro, which is the one on the far left, is more like a jet turbine where it funnels the water straight through the diameter of the circle. With the water funneling through the direct center, it causes the blades to spin, which is as all the turbines will be, is a form of movement of energy. Um, it does have wasted potential because debris can go inside the turbine, so it will probably need regular maintenance. It is a good turbine for its design because it sits on the ocean floor, so it is not going to obstruct surface vehicles. It's also smaller than most turbines, so you probably need multiple of them. And the country that I know that might be using them at this point in time is Australia for this particular type of turbine. So they're looking based on the image. This particular turbine produces about 2 megawatts of power, which is actually pretty good for its size. But as I said, the issue that comes from it would be um, it can catch debris at the bottom and would obviously need to be well maintained regularly. The second one, these are turbines that are floated on pontoons above the surface, where the turbines actually are underwater. Um, these are these have been seen being used in Argentina. Um, they do take up large expanses of land, though. because they are 40 meters long by with 16-meter rotors. They also produce the same 2 megawatts of power. So it's a lot larger for the same amount of power as the first jet turbine layout. The issue that I have with these as well is not only are they taking up a lot of space, but they're also surface borne, which allows the workers or maintenance crews to raise the turbines above the surface for the service, but they need to be moored, so they have to be tied to the location with anchors underwater, and it obviously again would take up multiple turbines just to generate the power that they are doing. So it takes up a large expanse of water. I might be able to provide images of them in Argentina. I did that in a project before. The third one, the Triton one, this is actually new to me. I haven't seen this one before.
You the fish killer?
Pardon?
The fish killer.
Yeah, the fish killer, because that is basically like a wind farm underwater, multiple small rotors. There's another one that's 46.6 meters long and 4 meters in diameter for each rotor. But as you can see, the device is semi-submerged, and I don't know how eco-friendly that really will be with so many turbines on there at one time. So one, you have to be observant for it on the surface. You have to be observant for it at mid underwater level, and to hold that in place, as you can see, a large platform needs to be built and housed at the bottom. This one produces 2.5 megawatts of power, which is better than the last two turbines, but still the amount of the expanse of space and and so many issues can be caused with this. As Arthur said, it's a fish killer. I don't know. Seals can hit into that. Dolphins. I mean, looking at our current ecosystem, is it might cause more harm than good. The final turbine from this image is another one that I've been seeing used off of Australia as well as Ireland, and I believe Argentina has a few of them as well. The Atlantis Lockheed is an 18-meter in diameter rotor. The ones I've also seen can actually pair a rotor on the back of it, so it can have two separate rotors on one turbine. This one produces 1.5 megawatts of power. It is the lowest, but it's also only slightly bigger than the jet version turbine, with less hazards of debris getting caught inside of the turbine itself. Maintenance on these, I think, are usually done once every 6 months. And they spin with rotors on either side. You don't have to worry about which way the tidal current is going, because the rotors are going to change with the direction of the current, which means with the platform that they're placed on, the turbine will only be able to spin within that sector. As well as the fact that there's this low lying on the ocean floor, it means that it would not be an obstruction to boats or ships. And you can place multiple of these turbines in a sector that are it's more feasible cost wise as well. And seeing that there are the depth of most of these machines is at 40 meters or so underwater. They actually do provide a lot of space, so they're not too deep and making it more difficult for maintenance to be done on them. I actually believe in turbines like this, Atlantis Lockheed, more so than anything else, because they also allow for marine life to come around the turbines without hindering or damaging the turbine in any way, where they can also grow around the turbine itself at the base. It encourages that type of what word I'm looking for, benefits for the island. So it's like an artificial reef in a sense.
I just asked if the reef can form on it. So that was.
I believe it could.
All right.
I mean, there are more recent turbines that are also being produced. I believe, Arthur, you might have seen the other one I've posted where you see the same Atlantis Lockheed, where you have it with the dual turbine, which was a more recent publication. I think that one was the current Atlantis Lockheed, that single motor one was revealed in 2017. The dual motor now is from 2019.
That's a portion
So
semi.
actually
That's
able
when
to
you sent me when it
expand
was
on it.
in is above the water currently, but obviously we brought down. That's the one you picture you sent me, right?
Correct, correct. This was done during maintenance on a platform. This is on a barge before they put it back in the water. Because this one was still during testing in 2019, where they were looking to see how with a twin motor how it would respond. It's actually pretty fantastic.
Looks pretty good. Uh, Mr. 50.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's your area expertise, but what's your thoughts? You think this is something we should look into, or do you have any other ideas we should do?
I think it's something that, I mean, right now everybody's like, oh, wind and sun, but you gotta look at all your alternatives. I mean, obviously the turbine. If we had, I wouldn't say deep river, but if you had a river that was powerful enough here in the country,
Mm-hmm.
the jet turbine could be useful. I could see if we had like a nice, I said deep enough river and flowing fast enough, we could use the jet turbine. But we don't. As Doc said, you kind of got a fairly big footprint, but the issue is debris, and we all know we got the issue with seaweed. The seaweed may not be that deep, but then you don't know what could get caught in the blades. The second one with the pontoons, issue with that would be if you can moor it, you need to make sure the anchors are good. You gotta have someone always checking it because you don't want that the one time somebody don't check it, the chain or the cable, whatever you used to moor it, snap, and then no, you out, you auto turbine.
And it's Barbados we talking
Fish
about.
killer,
So you don't know
yeah,
that now.
yeah, that can be a little iffy. The fish killer, as you call it, we all know that probably nothing to really want to go near that. And then you gotta look at like what's the effect of say like if there's any noises coming off of it, but the impact on the wildlife. Like the last one as or what I mean is 0.5 less, but you got if it's a zero point 0.5 difference, to me that's not a lot. So if you could fill a good set of a good area with those, I feel it could work. And as Doc said, there's a version where there's two rotors, which means there's a potential of more power. So I could see like we could really look into the options of we not just solar and wind, but maybe have an underground turbine, underwater turbine farm.
Mhm.
And I mean, if you could couple solar underwater turbines and bring it as a sense of this is how we are generating our power, and you can if you can also show well this is what we're generating with these versus you have to buy oil and this is how much we're generating right now. If that comes up either more or on par, it's like maybe we don't have to buy as much fuel. We would still buy the fuel, but buy less
Yeah.
and use
Correct.
this to supplement your entire grid. The idea where they were talking, trying to implement wind. People were talking, oh, you put solar panels on your house. I've heard there are stories where if you even were to do solar panels and say, well, I heard there's like, I don't know if it's true. I've heard people say, well, oh, if you do that, but then sometimes Light and Power doesn't want to set up the system so that you can put power into the grid and you be paid. And it's like, but then some people are like, but if I can't really reap an extra benefit, what's the sense of me doing it? But for some people, I mean, you see it on TV in the States where people, even though they're hooked up on the grid, they still have solar panels to keep the house running.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess for some people down here, they just are not willing to agree to the concept of if you were to incentivize a household, tell them, look, if you put up solar panels on your roof, you hook into the grid, and say you charge up your batteries and you don't need no more power for your house, we'll pay you X amount of dollars for every megawatt or whatever. Some people say, well, look, I could work with that. It will pay back for my system, and then I would get a little bit of money helping power, like to power everybody else. But I mean, is these little things I guess some people don't want to do, or they don't see the reason and the benefits in doing it.
I mean, but
But you
to
gotta
be
look
fair,
at
but
Elter. You gotta look at it.
50 to be fair, those panels are not very cheap. Like I hear the cost of one was like $40,000. And
Yeah,
especially
and
as
that's the problem. They're expensive.
exactly, if you're a young couple now, like, will you spend extra $40,000 for something you cannot get instant return on? Your electric bill is maybe $100, $200 a month. This is $200 a month. You
Mm.
know, why spend?
Well, to my knowledge, the issue was Leighton Power was they didn't have a problem setting up the turbines for the people. The panels.
Mhm,
The issue came down to the batteries that will help you house the power.
mhm,
If you were still connected to the grid, Leighton Power will pay you for the energy you don't use.
okay.
Mm.
If you aren't connected to the grid and you have battery cells, which the Leighton Power was not installing for people, you will not reap any benefits, but you will be benefiting for yourself and only yourself, which to me is not a problem. I have no problem having battery cells and powering myself. If I'm going to spend money to install the solar panels in the first place,
Yeah.
the least that should be happening is that I'm able to store my power instead of just selling it all to the power company.
Mhm.
Which is why I laugh at some people who fill their roofs with solar panels and then when the power goes off, they have no power.
Exactly. To me, I saw that as very stupid. Like, what's the point of that? Like,
That
What
defeats
was
the
the point?
whole purpose.
Exactly. What's the point? Why do that?
I guess
So
this year as I commit back some money faster and just having it for myself. There has to be a middle ground that I don't know what the middle, but there has to be a middle ground that you that the consumer and like the power could come to say, well, look, this is what we could do. And see, like I don't understand why is it so hard to just discuss these matters. You want people to be eco friendly or to go green, then there's not enough incentive or drive for some people to do it. I feel that's the problem that a lot of people are faced with. Like, why should I do it?
hmm
hmm so true.
yeah. There's a system that I like out of the United States from a company called Smart Flower with how they do their solar panel setup, and it's a very interesting design. It's a blade that it was like a sunflower. It shuts back down. It's very good looking, but it's like 20,000 US dollars. Like, it's very innovative. I'll put a picture on your screen. Just give me a minute, guys. But I got two. I want to show it. I want a good picture of how it flips, how it rotates. This one's a little small, but again, at that kind of cost, that's a lot of money.
Yep.
And I wonder, like, I'm also for energy security and whatever. Um, but I want to ask this to the panel. Do you feel these climate targets are being a bit too rushed? A lot of people don't want fossil fuels by 2030, which I don't see happening. Do you think these big changes should be done now, or you think it should be more gradual, like by 2050, 2060, wean people off these things that come with alternatives? I'll start with,
I
I'll
would
start, who going? You want to go 50?
I will go first. For me, if how I see if you can do a changeover into something, the worst thing to do is to do it as a abrupt change. Like that's where you're gonna run into yourself. That's where you're gonna run into problems. But if you do a gradual change, like say, all right, look, if we want to hit a target by this time, let me be reasonable. Let me try to put a few measures in place, see how that works. If it settles, say like for you put it into place and you say you run it for about a month, 2 months, you realize well, alright, these are the problems you're running into. Tweak your plan, and you go again, and then you realize well, alright, these things then crop up, but we run into an issue here with this. go back to the drawing board, you tweak it again. You gradually build to the point where you know it's going to work. Then you can say, well, we've been doing this in phases, and we want that by, say, as you said, 2050.
Yeah, yeah.
We want that by 2050. That I won't say you're fully not that you're no longer reliant on it, but then you would say, well, look, by 2050, we would like to maybe half the amount of money we're spending on fossil fuels. To say, well, look, that is money that we are no longer spending to get to run the country in terms of power. Maybe we could divert that money now somewhere else. That's how I see it. It could be done. Just that you need to plan it. You need to gradually phase it so you will realize, well, these are the problems we're running into. Fix those problems and just steadily move forward. And I honestly believe it could be done. It just the people that are looking to push it aren't seeing it in a logical sense, and they were like, "Oh, we would like to do this." But if you don't have a good solid plan, you're going to run yourself in trouble.
Yeah,
That's my take.
I 100% agree. I think this 2030 target is way too short. Just like us, for example, my uncle had to lend me a generator to outrun to help keep my food in my freezer alive. Imagine if we didn't have that generator now. If we had all solar now or whatever, we were relying on these, they kept my gasoline now. Like, how would they be able to keep my things up? Like, because by 2030, I don't think everyone can have solar panels by 2030. The government buying solar panels. So I think the target is way too close. I mean, this 2021. Like, we had 2 years like that were shut down.
The question is, are they going to
So I mean, you got 9 years. I don't see in 9 years. Actually, no, we can come out of recession. Let's keep it real. I don't know how you can do this in 9 years. Like, you try to tell me in 9 years, I'm gonna buy a new car unless it's necessary. Like, I don't see it. For the guys in Discord, I put a picture of the smart flower in the Discord so y'all can see what I'm talking about. I like that design, but that's still $20,000 US.
Are they going to stop? That's what you should be asking. Because years back, I think it was my father told me back in 1980, he wanted to put solar panels on his house. And he was getting approval and everything. And I think the government was talking to a university lecturer about the solar panels. And because the lecturer said, well, it's not going to benefit the country, they denied my father getting a discount on the solar panels. And back then, to get the solar panels was like $30,000 to do his roof. And he was just planning to just power the house with them. He had to be turned away because the government wouldn't allow him to bring them in to set it up. Because based on the fact that a university lecturer said, well, I don't think it's feasible. No, the country's not going to benefit from it, so why subsidize it for anybody else? And it is that type of thinking that annoys me when somebody's looking to better themselves in their home. It starts with one, and you're going to say, well, it's not benefiting the country if he gets solar, and Light and Power is going to get less money, so let's not approve it. Yet we have solar water heaters here in Barbados.
I remember Barcelona, the first places that have solar water heaters.
Correct. So my thing is like, why? Oh, because I think he was actually the guy who was one of the people pushing for the solar water heaters in Barbados at the time. He was from one of the manufacturers for it or something like that. So that's why he felt like cut out or some crap along those lines.
But what he did then, try to convert over, like,
because it wasn't his idea, I guess.
But you know what's funny is when we fill out our income tax, I am quite sure that there's a section that asks if you've done anything. I can't remember what is the exact wording, but if I remember correctly, it's something in terms of like if you've done anything based along the lines of like having a solar panels, and it's like, so wait, this is no part of your tax returns. So is it now that they're giving, I guess as part of if like you part of a discount on your taxes? If that's something that's happening, why wasn't it done in the past? Because all we know it could have been incentivized in the early.
But if let's keep it real, this whole climate thing is only really pushing the last like 5 years primarily.
Unfortunately, yes, because people are actually seeing, there's actually some ill effects that are happening.
Yeah, I remember for years I asked why not have synthetic fuel for cars. I mean, there are some guys doing it with carbon capture technology with fuel. There's some thoughts of like instead of just dumping the garbage, is actually a process now that where you could burn the garbage and you could convert it into actual fuel for your car. What you think is
Methane.
yeah, what you think is a very good idea. So I've
Ooh,
asked
no, you
why
mentioned
haven't
that.
these technologies have been? I mean, I've looked into it and I've seen guys since 2008 were converting carbon capture to
Excuse me.
into fuel. But why would this technology not push back
Yep.
then?
But it's not even that. I can remember a show I used to watch. I don't think I meant. I can remember the show, but there was a scene where this is a man that owns. I think he owns a dairy farm, and what he does is he takes the cow manure, puts it in a digester, gets the methane from the obviously decomposing cow manure, and he's actually able to heat his home, heat the barn, and run anything that can run on gas with the methane. It doesn't even stop there. When the cow manure is basically exhausted, he turns around and takes the cow manure and makes plant pots. You could basically take the plant, put it straight in the ground, still in the pot. And it's like that is something is just on a level of like, he was like, I have cow manure. He can probably use it all in the fields, or if he doesn't actually have like crop fields, he
Yeah,
can't
he
put
might
it
not be a crop farmer. He
really
might just be
anywhere.
a bee farmer, right?
Right, he just I think he just has the cows to get milk. So it's like he decided I have the manure. Manure you could put it in a digester and get methane. You could use the methane to do your heating. And he's like, but why stop there? I could turn the manure now that has given out all the methane it could turn it into a plant pot. So he's basically brought everything full circle for his production. It's like it's those small things that it just takes somebody to realize I can do this and this and this. Like I'm quite sure that with the dump that we have, should be a way that you could harvest methane from the decomposing stuff in there. Like there has to be some means that you could do that you could harvest methane gas.
Exactly. And again, think about
I
it.
don't
You're not
I don't know.
if you do, the current method we do, we're just digging up the land and filling it back up. How much land can you keep doing it with over and over and over? To me, if you could extract some form of energy from it, I think that's a wonderful idea.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah. You guys saw on screen, I have these smart flower up. It's something that I have a bit of a love for. That's like you can see it's closed in this one that I have right now, and then it's opened up here. I like this design. I think the one it closes as a prototype model, but this is a much innovative design. I like the shape of it. It's not, I don't want to say it's ugly as the solar panels on the roof, but again, can this be a solution provided to Barbados for the actual public? Like by me, it's very viable, but I have space. But by someone, I don't know by that. Do you have enough space for something like this? I don't know. It's a very nice looking design, but for some people, I don't know. I don't know if by 50 there's enough room for this. So if you want to make people, I don't know if everyone could go solar panels. So I think the ideas that have been put forward today are very viable alternatives.
It looks like a viable option. Like I mean, obviously we would need to know how much power you get. But if it's giving you on par to a solar panel array on a person's roof or even better,
I think it's actually higher because it actually spins with the sun.
oh, it tracks it.
Yeah.
Well, see, no, that's where now you
Beautiful.
change the game because
That's
if it tracking, it probably guarantees that you getting as
maximize
much
it.
sun as possible. Like, and if it doesn't even look like the width of it looks roughly width of of one panel. I could be wrong, but then the fact it looks bigger. So you could probably, if you're getting more power and the tracking and everything, if you have a small yard, I could still kind of see that fitting in somebody's yard,
Yeah.
and
It's something that we have
I
to
could
look
see
into.
it.
I think these are things that we have to look into, and I think in a country we have to be innovative. And then I will end on this closing point. I think we've heard some young men talk tonight who are just guys that we just live our lives. You're trying to tell me
We
that we
just
don't have
average Joes.
we don't have an engineering class of people who can design something like this and have it being pushed. I
We
mean,
have engineers in Barbados,
yeah. I mean,
people who
I,
study it.
we are taught today of being going Republic. We can go Republic and then we can't make nothing for ourselves. Like to me, I'd rather stay where we are and I have people just design things left, right, and center. Yeah, I mean, push Republic, but hey, I ain't nobody print them on top cocktail through my house. And so I would just see it as a part of us going Republic. I just see more of our local designers being pushed as part of that incentive. I just don't want a name change. I just don't want a nice title. I would like to see this as being a part of being a republic. I would like us to be, look, you gotta rely on people. But being a quote unquote independent nation, I like see us being more and more self-sustaining and also being able to export as well. Because in the future I think we have to export more and more.
Hmm.
Always looking forward, stepping forward into the right direction.
Yeah, exactly. Forward and not backwards.
Correct. Self-sufficient. Becoming self-sufficient will be extremely important for our national pride and moving forward.
Exactly. And that's one thing that we lack a lot of
We
is
set
national pride.
ourselves apart. I hear people talking about we should be making X amount of things here. Yes, we should be making things here, but all within reason. Don't just make things because you can.
Mhm,
Make things that are going to be beneficial and put us on the map
mhm,
with the raw materials so that we don't have to be importing them
mhm,
again,
mhm.
which is put the
Yeah.
cost and put us at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Like I said, we don't have a refinery here for our fuel, so we sell it to buy it back.
Mhm.
Hmm.
That makes sense, guys.
The thing I would like to see. I mean, as I said, like there has to be something that we could like say. All right, I don't know how we do our plastic bottles and our canned drinks here. If it is that I mean, I'm quite sure we do them here, but we went on a tour to the bottling company
Mm.
that does Coca Cola. So that's BBC, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I saw how they did the bottles, and they basically buy. I don't know if they buy it, but they have a tube that is about the length of your hand or about half that size. It's injected, and they heat it up, inject it in a mold, and it blows in air, and it shapes the bottle. My question is, do we buy those tubes from someone? If so, could we? Me obviously know this is where you gotta get into the recycling. Where could we get all plastic bottles, or have people like when they put their plastic bottles in the bin, have dedicated bins for plastic bottles? We take the bottles, chip them up, do whatever you need to do, and reform them into those blanks. So to say, well, look, instead of we having now to buy the blanks, we can make them here.
Exactly.
Like, if it's possible to do that, you eliminate the entire process for the manufacturing of the drinks.
Mhm.
If it is that we can recycle all aluminum cans to make new
Aluminium,
cans,
sir. Aluminium, sir.
potato,
No,
almost the
no, no.
same
It's
thing.
aluminium, man.
Aluminium.
Anyway, the sport.
Alright, I know. But if you could take the old cans and make them new, and you once again save a process, you no longer have to say, well, look, you gotta bring in, let me just call the number 500 crates of these cans
Mhm.
to do our drinks. You can say, well, look, we have a plant here on island, and we can go to the plant and get the cans melt down and reformed. I don't
And,
know how feasible it is, but I feel like something you should really look into.
and even if you can't get it, it's I need to plastic bottles to make drinks again. There should be some other thing you could do with it. Something.
Hmm. Oh, that reminds me. I'm not sure where I saw it, but I think I saw an article where they actually use old plastic bottles as part of the road system, where like it's in the road itself.
Mhm.
Can't remember what it was, but I quite sure I saw something like that somewhere, and I was like, hey, why not?
Yeah,
Like,
why not?
find a
I
process.
mean, 15 making football jerseys on the plastic bottles, so hey, why not? And that like it looking drippy, drippy, drippy. All right, Mr. Dadu, get any closing words?
I believe all that we have discussed here today really proves a major point that we as the younger generation, in our late 20s, early 30s here, are thinking that there's always more that can be done to be beneficial for the future of the country. And I think that we we are willing to absorb the cost, to step forward and make a better, brighter future for us and our children and the next set of generations, instead of putting money out constantly, wasting money and time. As far as I'm concerned, we could be investing in so much more. And
and keeping that money in house. You spend money up
correct.
front, but that money was circulating the economy,
We
and then our children
clear
and grandchildren won't have to pay
another
so much in
by
taxes anymore.
buying fuel
Because
all the time. They're benefiting heavily from us buying fuel from them.
exactly, and plus too, they could probably get employment as well. They could get employment. They got them with run their businesses, so it would pay for itself in the long run, rather than you just keep buying overseas all the time. But
Correct.
I hope this is something that can, I hope this is start. I hope this is honestly the start of something new. I hope this whole um, situation will lead us to a little more innovative. And guys,
Completely.
that concludes our show, episode 21. We had a good little over hour talk. I really appreciate you guys coming out tonight. A bit on short notice. Mr. Doc Dugan, thank you as always.
I appreciate it, my brother. Always.
Always. Mr. 50, thanks for coming on your first appearance. I really like your contributions made to on tonight, and we have to have you back, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Gee, my song said rejected. Jesus.
Hey,
Jesus. I don't know.
it is the end of the,
Gee,
it was a rough
it's a
Monday,
rough one.
okay?
All right. And we also had Mr. Kev Carney in chat, stopping by as usual. We will have a football show either later on in the week or early next week. We have to talk about some transfers in football and potential transfers. So if you're a big football fan, something a bit of a later side, look forward to that but next week. And also I will have back these guys later on, because I want to do a part 2 to this. I'm trying to have someone who's big in the environment. I don't know if I can get him on. He's in the shadows a lot nowadays, but I want to have this extended in the future. So look forward to a part 2 of this conversation. All right, guys. See you all. I know it's been a break, but thanks for coming out, guys. And see you all next time. I want to maybe they promise you can do a football show, but remember, guys, hit like, comment, and subscribe, and check out where go. Check out Bearded Conversations, hosted by Mr. T. Davis. Remember, recorded on Sundays, uploaded on Saturdays on your favorite streaming, your favorite podcast platforms, and check out Mr. Zacchariah on Twitch. And for that, guys, I'm out. All right, yeah, man.